What up? What up? Testing, you hear me? Yeah, I think I'm live. I think I'm live. So, y'all, some of you saw the stream I did earlier today, but now a press conference with Mark Pope has been released. So, we about to take an in depth look into that from a certified referee's perspective, of course. That's why you're here. Screen. All right, so this is how we're going to do this. All right. So, the problem is slow starts. Problem is looking lackadaisical. Obviously, not saying injuries because there's nothing we can do about that at this point. But it is something to bring up for next season. What else can the problems be? What questions will be asked? These reporters ask good questions. I'm not gonna lie to you, but sometimes Mark Pope plays the dancey dance game, and we'll give you a vague answer. So we're gonna get to the bottom of it today. Let's see.
Basically did almost exactly that, and the guys just didn't handle it well. When you went back and looked at the autopsy, went over the film, is that kind of what you saw there too?
Yeah.
Man said autopsy.
Listen, I mean, I think their physicality to start the game was elite. I think our guys handled it well after the first couple possessions. And then I think we got in our own way a little bit. We get up.
What does getting in his own way mean? Does that mean lackadaisical, lazy, like I've been saying?
8 or 10, and then we kind of self-inflicted wounds a little bit. And so
what does that mean? What self-inflicted wounds are you referring to? Why are you answering these questions so vaguely? Nobody's asking you to call players out, and you don't even have to really say names. Just say the specific instances that are occurring where you're going against yourself or where you feel like the players are going against themselves. That's how can you not fix that as a coach? Okay.
We had a stretch where we didn't handle it poor, and in this league with where we are as a team, we have to avoid stretches like that.
You had mentioned after the game that despite scoring 28 points, it maybe wasn't Ortega's best performance, and that you'd be disappointed by it. I guess kind of going off that was what you saw in the film. Did that kind of confirm that? In what ways did you feel like he fell short despite the scoring effort?
Well, here's the thing. The standard is so high. So you talk about an elite on paper offensive performance. Like it was a really elite. I think he's 11 for 17, whatever. He's well over 1 point per possession. The 4 turnovers were painful, but like he produced so much. He also had 4 assists, and his MP4Ts were pretty good. We also gave up 1.26 points per possession on the defensive end. It was the worst defensive performance that Georgia has faced the entire season in the SEC. That's not us. And so, if you give up numbers like that, you're not going to be successful against any team. And so Ortega's standard is incredibly high. It might be a higher standard than just about any other player in the country. And so when I talk about being –
I'm going to think you coaches thinking you have the top player in the country in every single category and everything. Like, before people start making these statements, we need criteria, we need stats, we need to really get into this, because at this point you BSing me. Like, what do you mean in the country? How are you backing that? According to what? How do you measure that? Who's taking the
frustrated and disappointed? I know that he looks at
the reason I'm so mad is because like I know these are fixable things and they're not getting fixed. It's
like, hey, there's good stuff there, but his standard is so high that he wants more, and he should. And I love the fact that he's driven that way.
With a guy like him, obviously he's asked to do so much on both ends of the floor. Does he have to find a balance every game of like, I can't do too much over here because I have to preserve some for over here, or how does that work?
There's no balance in this game, meaning it's like we have to do what we have to do, right? And
another vague answer. This guy. I know for a fact before he walks in there, he's joking with the coaches. Like, yeah, I'm about to just try to get through this press conference. Brother, the reason they're asking you questions is because it's a genuinely concerned fan base that's trying to get to the bottom of these easily fixable issues. Like, I've been backing you this entire time.
So that doesn't mean it's easy. It might mean that it's hard to approach the level that he's striving for, but there's not a lot of balance. We got to guard, and we got to make plays for each other, and we got to play with pace, and that's what we do, and that's what he's doing. That's why listen, what Otega Owe is doing right now is pretty historic. It's incredibly impressive.
Historic according to what? He had 5 20-point games. How much did Karl Anthony Towns average when he was at Kentucky?
And he wants more.
There's a lot. Go ahead.
Yeah. At this point in the season, a lot of teams kind of need a signature win like Georgia, and then you got like Auburn and South Carolina, who beating Kentucky would be kind of that resume booster. So how are the guys adjusting to probably a new level of desperation from where we face going forward?
I think that that's always the case. It's not anything new. It's just for everybody at this point of the season, and especially for us here, and also for us. Like we're chasing. I don't feel like we're hunted. I feel like we're very much in the hunt, and so it's just a matter of who's going to raise up and win.
You guys are definitely in the hunted category right now, brother. You lost to Georgia. You shouldn't have lost to Florida.
We have 5 games left. Like it's winning time. This is.
I know he didn't just say it's winning time, as if that wasn't the goal from day one at the beginning of the season. Was there a point where he was going in there thinking it wasn't winning time? Let me know. Let me know, because I would have had some people place some bets. And Ramadan Kareem, I don't bet, but I would have had some people make some investments. If we're going in there and not thinking it's winning time, I would have had some people make some investments. Me personally.
The best part of the season. It's the best part of the year. This last stretch in conference and the conference tournament and the NCAA tournament is what you live your whole life for. You know, it's when all of the other stuff fades away, the distractions of numbers and playing time and stats and money and all the noise.
All of those things are very prevalent still during the NCAA tournament. That's literally when it gets boosted. What are you talking about?
It goes away, and you're judged and defined on winning. And it's actually as the game gets more convoluted, this is the space where the game gets pure if you can do it right and you get as close as you can. And so this is the best time.
I've noticed on the side that Cam has gone from using that knee scooter to crutches to walking under his own power.
Cam is done for the season, bro. Why are we talking about him right now?
Or now, can you, I guess, kind of describe the
Cam is not the reason we lost to 2 teams that were better than.
progression of his diagnosis to surgery to recovery, and also still the likelihood or no likelihood of him potentially returning this season?
We're optimistic because
You are lying.
always optimistic. The timeline
He said we're optimistic because we're always optimistic. If that's not a BS answer, I don't know what is.
is tight. And I don't know how much publicly has been talked about the specifics of his injury.
You've talked about.
Yes, I've been really vague, right? But
You have been really vague in everything you say. Like, what is the point of you coming up here, Mark? What is the point of you coming up here? What was the point of you leaving BYU? I thought this was a school that in '96 y'all was the denim team. And y'all took the chip and you started the real Kentucky wave. What's going on?
there's a real chance that at some point, if we extend the season out long enough, that he can come back and help us, and we're excited for that to happen.
I suppose it's time for a weekly JQ update as well.
Yeah. He continues.
Now we talking about JQ. Are we just cooked? Did we give up on this season? We're talking about
to
we're talking about somebody who's trying to get drafted next year. He basically has nothing to do with Kentucky anymore.
progress. He is not ready right now. He's not ready, and we're not going to roll him out there till he's 100%. And he's a ways from that. We haven't incorporated him back into practice, and so it's complicated. I don't know.
Last week he was trying to be incorporated into practice, so you're literally telling me he backtracked. Just say he backtracked, and we can move on to the next question. Like, it's okay. He's not playing. He's done for the season.
How optimistic I am about that. Like I said, he's making great progress, but just, with a guy's explosive.
He's not making great progress if last week you were saying he was incorporated into the practices and now you're not incorporating into the practices. That's literally the opposite of progress. Are you insulting our intelligence, Mark?
We have to be. He's got to be 100% ready, and so we're working slowly but positively.
With Cam, how much can he be kind of soaking in, taking in for these few weeks that he's out, especially knowing in maybe the front of his mind that, hey, I might be able to come back and rejoin this thing.
I think he's doing a good job. He's interesting thing about Cam. One of his
now he's going to answer this question in depth to take away from the real problems that's going on the court. Watch how he answers this in depth and no other question with detail. All the other questions involving the game, he'll keep it vague.
Superpowers that he's so great regardless of what's happening in the game. So he spent, I harken back to games early in the season where he didn't really play at all in the first half and then got some minutes in the second half, and he'd been unbelievable on the bench, like full of enthusiasm, and then came into the game and had huge impact, and that's how he earned himself a starting spot and why he grew so much. So I think you take all this in, and I think he's excited to get back.
With Yelovich, it seems like he's taking one step forward, one step back type thing. Just what have you seen from him? How close is he to getting to that point where he's starting to break through?
See, let's really analyze the question he asked about Yelovich, because the last stream we were really going in depth of what he actually brings to the floor, and is that anything?
Just what have you seen from him? How close is he to getting
Let me know what you guys think. Does Yelovich get too much playing time?
to that point where he's starting to break through?
It's freshman, right? It's first-year guys. He's got a big upside, and that's exactly how it is. It's just the progress of it. And I love him. I think he's a beautiful kid, and I think he's got a big-time potential. It's just growing.
They all have potential. They were literally the best kids in the country when they were in high school.
Freshman, you talked recently about Malachi and how the 7th or 8th time that you see things is really hard, but that first time is incredibly hard. How does that kind of relate to Jasper too, as he tries to get through this and he's seeing different looks for the first time in his career?
It just is. It's the growing process, Jasper did not have a great night the other night, but there were really positive things that he did. Some decisions that didn't work out, but it was exactly the right approach. And so in the growing process,
In terms of what? Vague.
that can be hard and confusing too. It's just like, well, that didn't work, but it's exactly the right stuff. We need to repeat that even though you didn't get the outcome. And so it's a growing process.
Repeat what, even though you didn't get the outcome? What specifically does he have to repeat?
It's a growing process for our veteran guys too. So
Do you want him to be as aggressive as possible?
he needs to be as aggressive as possible. He's better when he's aggressive. He's going
Any player is better when they're aggressive.
to see good results when he's aggressive. When he gets into trouble where I don't feel good with him on the court is when he's kind of second guessing and he's a little bit on his heels. But the trick is he needs to be really aggressive, making reproducible plays. One of his best plays was in the first half, and he actually was really forceful and aggressive, getting downhill, got downhill, shot fake.
Is that necessarily a good thing, just being forceful and aggressive coming downhill? He's the lightest kid on the court. He could literally get hurt, and that's another one down.
Down Trent in the corner. Trent came off. He flowed back. He got another catch and got downhill and got an easy 5-foot floater, which is exactly his space. But he never gets there unless, one, he's super aggressive getting downhill to 2 feet the first time, and two, he's disciplined enough to recognize where he is to make a play for a teammate so that the next part of the possession comes around to him. Guys, that's hard to learn. That's really hard to learn. But it's advanced level game. And so he's got a chance.
That's an average skill for a good point guard in SEC basketball. If we're all being completely honest with each other, which I'm not sure if Mr. Pope is.
He's going to be a special player, but it's just growing. It's growing, and so he's making progress. He did really positive things. Some of them didn't work out well, but I'm proud of him.
Auburn's on a 5-game losing streak. Just what have you seen out of them recently, and what are you preparing for with them?
Yeah, I thought they were good last night. Hibbert just lost his mind and almost put up a 50 spot, right? He was incredible, but they got their best player back. They're really good at home. I think they're a terrific team. They've knocked off the best teams in our league. Florida on the road, beat Arkansas. So they're one of those teams that's really, really, really good when they're at their best, and then they've had some struggles, like a lot of teams in our league. And so they're talented, they're skilled. Pettiford obviously has been a problem in this league. He's really good. Both Keyshawn's are really.
How are you going to stop Pettiford? And if Keyshawn comes back, which he most likely is, they said he was probable to play. How are you going to use his last injury to your advantage? Basically, is my question.
Really having an impact. Overton can have a night at any given time. They're a good team, and so and they're well coached. It's going to be a great challenge in a great environment. It'll be a big time environment.
What are you seeing with them as far as their 3-point defense? It seems like they give up a pretty high percentage, but teams don't take a ton against them. Is there something there that you guys?
That's a good defensive team. There's a certain amount of luck that comes into the game. Even in the analytics game, you have to pay attention to it because there's just variables that are non-controllables. And so they've done a great job limiting threes. And then there's a little bit of like, and making and missing threes is one of the most kind of skewed luck-driven parts of the game. And so, a little bit of misfortune from them. They're a good defensive team. They switch. They get you confused. They put you on your heels. They're good.
Mark, Sean Hall has made second most free throws of any player in the country and also really high up attempts. What is it about him that makes him?
He's versatile and physical. He can mess around behind the 3-point line. So you have to push up on him. And he's got great.
Which pieces are you going to use to push up on him? Who could stop that? Who's a good 3-point defender beside Denzel Aberdeen on the floor? And maybe Owe.
Like electrifyingly quick. I kind of, like there's some Paul Pierce juice in him where he goes at his own pace, but when he goes, he really goes. He's a 3-level scorer. He's really good at throwing his body into you. He's a good player, and he's a proven scorer. He's even made a big jump this year, his first year at Auburn. But he's an electric scorer, and he's put up numbers against the best defenses in the country.
That's facts. Finally, we got a statistic. This is the first statistic, and we 15 minutes into the interview. I thought this was the coach we was talking to.
How are they to like the previous teams you've seen from Auburn, just because obviously Stephen now being in charge, is he kind of taking that system and running with it, or is there a lot of tweaks?
It's both. I think you can see the imprint of there's still the DNA of what Stephen and Bruce did together, but also Stephen is putting some of his own juice into this team, and so you can see both.
You talked about the environment. That place gets pretty live, especially on a Saturday night. Just from your team's perspective.
And they have been playing not the best away. I'm not necessarily saying the crowd gets into their heads, but it's proof is in the pudding.
Going all the way back to the Louisville game to now, how have you seen you guys evolve in road environments?
I think we're more comfortable with who we are. I think it's like hopefully through the course of the season that part becomes more routine. Like you've been there, you felt it, you've performed great in it, sometimes performed poorly. And so it's just that we know what it's like together, and now it's just a matter. So you kind of take a little bit of the variable of that off, and now it's just more focused on the game and how we play and how well we perform.
You talked about the self-inflicted wounds from Georgia and Florida. Is that something in practice? How do you keep that from following you to Auburn and going forward?
Yeah, it's all percentages. I mean, we had.
If it's all percentages, why haven't you given us any?
We had 3 of the most colossally epic non-MP14 plays ever in transition, and then 2 plays later, we're making this brilliant, aggressive, beautiful basketball play, and so it's percentages. Like how much can we lean into playing the right way, and how much can we kind of be.
He's basically trying to negate the bad and get more out of the good, but duh.
Focused enough and smart enough and learn it enough to weed out a higher percentage of plays that are just head scratchers. And so that's everybody's fighting that battle, and we are too.
At this point in your coaching career, do you have a pretty much set definition of player leadership, or do you find that evolves with each season?
I think player leadership is dependent on individual guys. Guys have different skill sets, and you can lead in so many different ways. So I think so to answer your question, I don't have a defined set of exactly what a leader is. I think mostly what you're doing is trying to cultivate the leadership skills that your guys possess inherently, and then kind of
the answer is there's no real leader on the team.
Build up around it.
That's basically what he just said. I don't understand why he can't just be straightforward with us instead of trying to insult our intelligence. Like, I don't like who do you.
And teams are led different ways. Sometimes you have. Like the leadership on this team is very unique to any team I've had, and I could probably say that about 2/3 of my teams where it's been unique. It's been its own personality.
Vague once again.
I think trying to you're really blessed if you can have a traditional check the box on all the spaces leader of a team that can do it that way. And so I think it's a pretty dynamic process. I know that's not a great answer, but it's really true.
Speaking of that,
at all.
what leadership qualities have you seen in Colin and Malachi? Obviously, two underclassmen. Colin a little older, but has been on teams with older guys as far as like a building block for your program and even for this team.
Yep. Malachi has a steadiness that's inherent to him as a leader. So he brings a steady leadership that's incredibly valuable. Colin has that also. So it's like one of the traditional kind of areas of leadership that you'd look for in anybody, this ability to be steady. I've talked about Malachi has this really steady personality where he just stays super even keeled. Colin has a steady,
not only steady, but very thoughtful personality.
It's about him that is like every single rep, whether it's May 15th or April 1st, April 6th, it's two very different environments. He's going to go 100% full out. He's just got the ability.
Why isn't all your players doing that? That's not a skill. That's just a, once again, fixable thing. It's a personality trait.
To kind of bring it every single day. He's also shown this ability to be like clutch, and it's helped him win street cred with his team where guys are, they're leaning on him just as a performance leadership ability. Malachi is going to continue to grow in terms of his IQ with the game. Like, I think inherently he's a really, really smart player. He's going to learn as he learns more. You
can tell he is the way he passes the ball as well.
It's going to be really focused, where he's going to bring that to his team and be able to.
You can also tell Malachi's working on the specific things that's trying to get him to the league. Like, you can tell he's not trying to stay at Kentucky too long. He has his heart set on the big one.
Communicate guys in right spots, right places, right reads. I think that'll be a part of his growth as a leader. Colin is going to continue to grow in his, Colin's going to have a really unique ability as he goes to bond with every single unique individual on the team and kind of meet them where they are. And, I think those two guys are really exciting leaders as we move forward for sure.
Mark, I've got 12 students here from my journalism class.
Go.
From a coaching perspective, what kind of advice would you give to a young, aspiring journalist?
Did he just ask the coach what advice he would give to a young aspiring journalist? Are we all being serious with each other right now? We're on a 2-game losing streak, and this is what you're going to ask the coach as opposed to something about the statistics?
Oh, that's dangerous. That's a dangerous.
Yeah, what else you guys want to look at? You want to look at the stats from last game? You want to look at the highlights?
Question. I would tell you guys that you're in a really complicated space from my position, where unfortunately you're just going to be graded on clicks. Like, that's just what you're graded on. And so that makes your job hard. It makes this job really hard because you can get cheap clicks or you can get clicks for being great at what you do. And it's probably like everything in life. And that's the challenge. You have an experienced media crew in here, but that's probably the question you're going to ask yourself. Am I going to go down the road of just getting the cheap clicks? Or am I going to get the clicks by being the most real, authentic, truth-telling, hardcore journalist? A lot of people would say that can't exist anymore, that long form is gone and real truth-telling is gone, and you just have to put out the headline as inauthentic or manufactured as it might be. You just have to put it out because you got to get clicks, you got to earn a reputation, you got to do it that way. But I don't know if that's advice, but from my perspective, that's the biggest question you're going to have to answer as a journalist. And for my money, if you're great, if you want to be great, you're going to probably do the impossible. And that's going to be like, you're going to stay away from the cheap click, manufactured, artificial, skewed headline. And you're going to become like the world's greatest storyteller. Because I will tell you this, I talked to our media about this too. Storytellers have the power in the world right now. And I think in this space where facts can get skewed all kind of ways, it's storytellers.
I ain't gonna lie to you. He ain't even wrong about that. What do you think propaganda is? It's all good storytellers making people buy it.
That actually have the power,
This has nothing.
but it comes with an immense responsibility.
This has nothing to do with the problems on the court, though. But I'll let him drop his knowledge in.
And I think if you can become a great, authentic, hard-hitting storyteller that is really searching for the truth, the greatness of stories is actually in the truth, rather than just searching for the clicks, I think it'll serve you well. That's my 2 cents. I'm not in the media, but that's my thought.
I think you know what? I have a question. Yeah. So the NCAA president says that they're still trying to work on an expansion of the tournament. We heard you talk about you'd love to see the regular season expanded. What are your thoughts on the actual tournament expanding?
Expanding the tournament in terms of more games?
I haven't thought this
When did they start talking about that?
true, but if there's a way we could expand the tournament by increasing our regular season games, I'm all in. Let's go.
How would increasing your regular season games benefit you? So you could lose more? So you could get more players injured? What's the thought process behind that?
Yeah, I'll do one more. You talk about the best time of the year being here. How do you juggle that with knowing the portal opens a month and a half from now, and knowing there's retention and kind of keeping guys happy and not into the portal, but also kind of keeping an eye on what the landscape would be?
Yeah, that's a complicated space, but it also makes it great. Like we love, man, this job is so great. Just like everybody's job, the things you love about the job are the most complicated spaces, and it's complicated to manage all that at the same time, but it's why the job's fun. And so, but there are dynamics that are really important. One of the challenges that
Bro, this guy has one more time to say dynamic, bro. Why is he BSing us like this, bro? I think he knows he might be cooked. That might be where all this is coming from. Like the real stem of this all, he knows in terms of this season, he might not have anything for the good teams, and he might not be able to go on that good run to get us at least in the Sweet 16.
you faces is helping your guys. Listen, everything comes and goes. Like all these things that we think are so important, they come and go. But this time of the year, the winning part is the part that it's all about. Like it's all about this. As a player, somebody that's worked your whole life to get a chance to do this, it actually is, it's not for all the other stuff. It's to win. It's to go find it and see if you.
No player thinks it's not to win.
If you have what it takes to be in that moment, have you done what it took during the season to learn and grow? Have you built yourself and your team into a place where you can do things better than you've done all year? Matt Painter said, the NCAA tournament is
Who the bomb calls Matt Painter?
finals. That's your final grade, right? I think he said that a couple of days ago. And it's nice. And so sometimes you can get distracted by all the really important stuff and miss finals. Who wants to do that? Like, don't miss the tournament, man. Don't miss these last 5 games of the regular season. Don't miss your last game at Rupp. Don't miss the SEC tournament in our beloved Nashville. Don't miss.
None of them think that.
Don't miss the NCAA tournament, because that's the stuff that actually separates you. A couple dollars doesn't separate you.
That, my friend, is a lie. Yes, the experiences are important, but a couple dollars definitely separates you in society. You ever heard of capitalism?
The next school doesn't separate you. Like, what separates you is what you do right now. And it doesn't guarantee you results, but man, if you miss putting your whole heart into it, what a shame. So we talk about that as a staff also. We have a job to do. We can do that in the other 45 minutes available out of 24 hours. But right now it's about like, how are we going to go win? Like, our players deserve that. We deserve that. We are exactly where we are, and we're in the best time of the year. And so let's not skip it.
Good afternoon. Happy Valentine's Day. Well,
let's see what you guys. You can see this guys.
Because of their embarrassing loss at home to Georgia, the Wildcats have to find a way to go on the road and beat Auburn.
Obviously.
You are locked
What's the root problem, though? How do you fix it? Clearly, Mark Pope doesn't know.
on Kentucky, your daily podcast on the Kentucky Wildcats, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
All right, what's going on, Big Blue Nation? Welcome on into Locked On Kentucky, your daily
What kind of introduction was that? What was the reason for that?
Kentucky Wildcats podcast. I'm your host, Lance Dahl, and on today's episode of Locked On Kentucky, we're going to explain why Kentucky now has to beat Auburn now that they've lost to the Georgia Bulldogs at home. Also on today's episode, it's not over yet for Tyron Stokes. We've continued to talk about the number one overall player in the 2026 class. Is he going to Kansas? Is he going elsewhere? It's not over yet.
I truly don't care about Tyron Stokes. I want to care. I'm focused on the basketball.
Yet for Mark Pope in Kentucky, we'll talk about that a little bit, as well as Elijah Haven, a five-star quarterback looking to take a visit to Kentucky with Will Stein.
I ain't gonna lie to y'all. I'm skipping through all the football stuff he talking about. This might be quick.
We're going to be breaking all of that down. Today's episode is brought to you by FanDuel. Use your profit boost on an NBA future and get entered for your chance to win a trip to the NBA Finals. Play your game with FanDuel, the official sports betting partner of the NBA. Thank you guys so much for making Locked On Kentucky your first listen every single day. Want to remind everyone out there, we're free and available on all
Not my first listen.
platforms. Subscribe wherever you are tuned in. Kentucky has to beat Auburn this weekend. They have to go on the road into Neville Arena and beat the Auburn Tigers for a few different reasons.
That's the thing. I can't watch some of these commentators and podcasts. Like, bro, I could tell you probably reading ChatGPT right now. Like, you, the way you even change your voice up is ridiculous.
Since first and foremost, when you look at the SEC standings right now, Kentucky in a log jam, tied for fifth place, but technically they can fall as low as 8th or 9th. They can fall much further than that if things get really ugly towards the end of the season here. So to start.
But he didn't mention we were just in second before we played Florida, who we should have beat once again.
Just looking at just this game alone, Kentucky has to beat the Auburn Tigers to possibly secure a double bye in the SEC tournament, or at the very least to make it much more likely that that is still on the table. The most likely outcome, according to Ken Palm, according to most analysts, is probably 10-8 here now that Kentucky is 8-5. They're expected to fall apart here towards the end of the season. If you want a chance still at a double bye in the SEC tournament, you're not going to win the conference. That's gone now that you've lost to Georgia. If you want a chance at a double bye, you have to win now. And honestly, I think this is really important when you think about the way that the SEC tournament could be structured. This league has been a little weird this year. I think that when you look at the top of this conference, Tennessee, Florida, Arkansas, Alabama, those are the top 4 teams in the league right now. I mean, honestly, outside of Tennessee, I don't really want to face any of those 3 teams. But when you
want to face Tennessee again, he was giving us hell.
Look further into the middle of the.
Just because they won the game doesn't mean much. We can win games, but we could lose to teams that are not better than us.
Pack, Texas A&M, Missouri, Texas, Vanderbilt. I mean, Vandy's already a team that's already beaten you by 25. Missouri beat you at your place. Texas A&M, I think with their tempo and three-point shooting, we'll see here in a couple of weeks. But I think they're another team that could really stress you. You don't want to look up and
Texas A&M could definitely stress them.
Say, oh, Kentucky's the 6th seed. Who are they playing? Well, they're playing Missouri in
who they already have lost to
in the SEC tournament on Thursday, and they have to find a way to win to get to the semifinals. I would rather go ahead and be there in the semifinals and honestly take my chance with a team like Tennessee or maybe Arkansas. And
how do you take your chances with great teams like those?
Hopefully, maybe they've been upset at that point by a Georgia who I'd like to frankly see again. Somebody like Texas.
We're the only ones around here getting upset by Georgia, buddy.
Somebody like Auburn. Actually, there are the middle of the pack of this league, which Kentucky finds themselves firmly in, is a place I don't want to be in the SEC tournament.
It's bad enough you reading off ChatGPT. You can't even read. Like, you was one of those kids who couldn't read aloud.
I would rather go ahead and be past that and either get a good team in the semis or get a team that's on a run that is maybe not as good as Kentucky is. And with Kentucky rested, I'd like to see what that matchup looks like. So
when Kentucky was rested for an entire week, we lost to a team that wasn't.
First and foremost, I think it's big for your SEC tournament hopes. And the further you are
We rested for a week and we got completely out rebounded by a team who we knew was going to go for most of the rebounds.
Hard to start in that bracket, the better chance you have at, frankly, winning an SEC championship, which is something Kentucky has been looking for since 2019. You have to beat Auburn if you want a chance at a double bye. It also, a win against the Tigers, could solidify an NCAA tournament bid, especially if things go south. As I mentioned just a minute ago, Kentucky's projected to lose, I believe it's 1-4 is what they're technically projected to go here as the season.
That's the utmost disrespect.
Winds down. 1-4. They are expected, the Kentucky Wildcats, to lose to Auburn. They got a 38%,
which is not an unreasonable thing to think if we're all being honest.
Chance to do so. Lose to Vanderbilt, lose to Texas A&M, and lose to Florida. Their only win supposed to be a 6-point win on the road against South Carolina. Now, you may look at that also and say, well, all 4 of these games are toss-ups. They're projected to lose to Auburn by 4, beat Carolina by 6, lose to Vandy by 1, lose to A&M by 2, and lose to Florida by 6. So it's all toss-ups. But again, we don't know what to make of this team because of their volatility.
Where are these specific numbers coming from? This is what I hate when they do that, but don't back anything. How is that backed? What research was done for that? For these, they're going to win by 6. What is that based on?
We expected possibly a regression to the mean, or we kind of hypothesized there could be. They've now lost 2 in a row. We don't know if they're going to slide here to end. We don't know if they're going to rebound. We don't know what's going to happen. But because of that, I guess I should say, getting a win against Auburn this weekend will basically solidify an NCAA tournament bid. You have enough quad 1 wins at that point to where if you lose out and you may...
I would be facts that they got to stop that boy Taheed.
Be split in the SEC tournament, or you lose in the SEC tournament.
And Keyshawn, because he's coming back. They say probable, but when they put probable, trust me, they just want to keep him guessing up. Keyshawn going to be back for that game against Kentucky.
You can still sneak into Dayton as an 11 seed. Worst case scenario, you still have enough on the resume. You've beaten Tennessee twice. Obviously, that counts for something. You beat Arkansas on the road, which was huge. That might be the best win of the season for you. Texas, I believe, was a quad 1, if I'm not mistaken. St. John's was quad 1. Indiana would have to do a little bit of work, if I'm not mistaken, to make that game a quad 1. But still, you have enough on the resume to be at possibly an 11 seed at worst. So it gives you a double bye, or has a shot at a double bye. It solidifies your March Madness bid in case things really go bad if you beat Auburn. And then the last thing, excuse me, the last thing is that this is a revenge game. Auburn had a chance last year to come into Rupp Arena.
Talking about last year, this is a completely different team they're playing.
Excuse me.
And this man can't even get his allergies in order.
They had a chance to come into Rupp Arena.
If somebody put in something else you want me to react to, I can't take watching this guy too much longer.
And secure the SEC regular season title. And they didn't just secure it. They humiliated Kentucky on their home floor. BTA, as they were saying.
Why is this relevant to this season?
At the end of the game last year. This is a chance for a revenge. This is a chance to go back into their place and
is this dude about to cry?
And get payback.
Somebody let me know what to do about the cry.
Back. And honestly, I know that there are probably some stylistic issues when it comes to matching up against this Auburn team that Kentucky's going to run into, but at the same time, this is a 14-12 Auburn team. They're not very good. They just lost to Mississippi State in embarrassing fashion. I may say, not embarrassing that they got blown out, embarrassing that Josh Hubbard scored 46 on them. 10 of 16 from 3, by the way. Yikes. Revenge game against a team that really wanted to rub it in your face last year. Kentucky has so many different reasons to want this game. And if you listen to Colin Chandler after the loss to Georgia, something that he said I thought was really interesting. He said that Kentucky should be playing desperate, is desperate now as the season winds down.
I remember when he said that, but that's kind of the attitude he's always had, even since midseason.
To see that attitude in Neville. Double bye, March Madness bid, revenge game. A lot on the line for Kentucky on Saturday. Can they get it done? We will see. Tyron Stokes is not out of the picture yet for Kentucky.
We don't care about Tyron Stokes.
In fact, that is not busy.
We don't care about
workplace chaos. post. You company job for Tyron Stokes over.
Who cares about Tyron Stokes?
And they're not going to be caught. The Kentucky Wildcats are willing to pay for him. That is still very much so on the table. Despite JMI issues, despite Mark Pope issues, despite whatever.
Somebody put else you want me to react to. Let's see anything interesting. Let's see. Let's see, Rep report.
So win. I know we were moving to the predictions a little bit. You have your score down.
I'm thinking, like we said, 50-50. I have no idea, but because this is a Kentucky podcast, I guess I'm going to flip Cats or Tigers on guess. I landed on Cats. So I'm going with the Cats to win. I'll say 79-76.
Who are these guys and why are they qualified? Are they just students at the school or do they actually know ball? Somebody let me know.
So I don't think it's going to be in a high scoring, exciting game, I guess, but I do think that it's going to be right around there, and I don't think that it's going to be a takeover tour from anyone. I just think it's going to be, like you said, a very level, even college basketball game that could go either way.
Yeah, 100%. I'm going to go off of history here with Kentucky.
Yep.
The last 2 times they have lost 2 games in a row. They have come back and won 4 in a row and 5 in a row.
Yeah.
I'm going to come back with a win here for sure.
That is true. They know how to definitely bounce back, play tough, and go hard against certain teams. Sometimes you just got a certain team's number. Like they got Tennessee's number. Tennessee's a great team with Nate Ament, Gillespie. I forget what the big dude's name is. His dad is like an NFL player, but that's a solid team, and Kentucky washed them twice.
For sure. I do think they'll be able to take it out. I'm going to go like 77, 71 maybe.
Same range.
Similar.
Where are they getting these numbers from? Like, it's cool to make these guesses, but tell us what you're using to back it. It doesn't make any sense. You're just talking at that point.
I don't think they're going to get up in the 80s. I do feel like it's going to be more defensively driven, but I think Kentucky will pull it out.
Yeah. I mean, we'll see what happens there. I don't think it's going to be a barn burner down in Auburn, but
I don't think so either.
The Jungle will definitely treat it like it is probably the whole time.
I'm sure.
So, that does it for us for this episode, though. We appreciate you guys as always.
Yeah, ain't talking about nothing, man. Let's see. Somebody send me what you want me to react to.
Because
Guess we can watch that later. Hear what these guys got to say.
This is the doctor.
The doctor.
And
That's
it
what it's
was
called.
absolutely delicious on my part, but I need you to give a
It was amazing.
reaction to it. We got
These fools are eating pizza. Are they going to talk about basketball?
chip level roster. The timelines have to align where you can't wear out your welcome before you get the opportunity for the breakthrough. So I feel like he caught lightning in a bottle in year 1. Year 2 has been underwhelming, even in the most objective standard.
Yeah.
Year 3 is going to be, okay, how do you fix this roster? This roster is not a Mark Pope roster.
What is a Mark Pope roster? Are you talking about BYU squad or are you talking about his year 1 Kentucky squad?
Can you, at this late in the game, can you go add a draft pick? Can you go add the best total player in college basketball and become that next season? Because after that, I think if you don't have an Elite 8 or a Final 4, whatever our measuring stick is going to be for that season, I feel like at that point fans are going to say, no more. I feel like year 3 is going to be the final fork in the road.
And I would say I would rather have Kentucky. Listen to this scenario. I'd rather have Kentucky, honestly, be a 1 seed that loses in the round of 32 than to be a 5 seed that is able to upset their way, or a 60 that can upset their way to the Sweet 16. I want to see
Obviously, that's the more comfortable route. Why wouldn't you want that?
Kentucky be dominant for a regular season. I want Kentucky talked about on the national stage positively again, like from the start of the season to the end of the season. We haven't had that in a long time. I mean, I bring this up a lot. We haven't had a 1 seed since 2015. That is by far the longest stretch in Kentucky basketball history. So thank you, Calipari, for leaving us with that and allowing, that's what I said this the night he was Mark Pope retired. This is an impatient fan base that he's inheriting because we've gone a little bit without success. And it's not just Final Fours and it's not just national championships. I actually think you kind of got to get lucky to win a national title, but you can go to Final Fours.
He's not wrong there. You do kind of have to get lucky, especially in a game that here is like this. But let's hear his take here, and then I'll probably scramble out.
At Kentucky, you can go, it's all the other schools that are blue bloods, UNC, Duke, and Kansas are figuring it out in this new era. Duke went to a new coach. They've already been to 2 Final Fours since COVID, and they're going to be favorites to do it again. Kansas is ranked. North Carolina is ranked. Kentucky is not. And those are 2 teams also that have played in a national championship, and Kansas won one. So, we're the one that's kind of lagging behind. And this is the winningest program. This is the one with the biggest arena out of all of them, the most passionate fan base. As you said, the biggest brand in college basketball. And I like Mark Pope. I think he can get there. But what I'm worried about is he's learning on the job and how much.
He's not learning on a job. He's coached at BYU for years, and he has a national college championship. He knows what he knows, and he has the qualification to get the job. And he's just not making the specific right decisions at the moment. So, yeah, I do like Mark Pope. I'm not necessarily saying it's all his fault, but I am saying he has to take the reins and stop letting the kids lead. He's clearly it looks like AAU ball out there. That's all I'm saying. And I know y'all take it easy, man. I'm going to get out of here. Peace.